On December 20th of 2022, the world got shook. This time it wasn't politicians and it wasn't the economy. It was me revealing that I had been using a Kemper amp profiler for over a year. The comments section loved my tone and complimented my amp. But when this deep-seated betrayal fell upon the internet community, I became a victim of hate. I had to take my family and live in a cave, and I'm still running for my life. But Kemper has released a pedal profiler, so this gives me another excuse to put out a new pack. And without further ado, I'm revealing to you today
Josh's Big American Amp Pack.
It's big high-watt Fender amps. It's my favorite ones. Now they're in a pack. You can buy them. Let's go. To start this off, I just want to say this is an awesome pack because, as many of you know, I have always loved the Fender Bassman topology. Most of these bigger, louder Fender amps are using 6L6 power tubes. We're going to start off with the Dual Showman here. This is from 1967. On this and the following profiles, you're going to notice there's up to 12 different sounds in each pack. And that comes from just the math that happens when you use the different inputs, the bright toggles on the different inputs, and different gain levels. My favorite sound is VB2 on this amp, so I'm going to click that. It loads it in here. VB2 means vibrato gain level 2. So gain 1 is clean, gain 2 is a little gritty, gain 3 is really driven. The bright toggle on that is off. Bridge pickup. So it has a little bit of grit to it. This has an effects 1 and 2, and then the Kempers have always had great effects in them. So I'll add some tremolo. This is what's cool about this amp. This is essentially like a more girthy Bassman. If I was doing a girth rating on this, I would do like 7.5 girth units. The girth is strong, and then you can add tremolo on this amp. Neck pickup. Really great breakup. Kind of feels like a Morning Glory's on, so let's stack that and we'll have an even better soft clipping sound on top of the amp. And this amp didn't have spring reverb, but I want to hear spring reverb because in my head, this kind of feels like a chunky Princeton with a lot of wattage. So that's another reason to add some reverb and kind of do that Fender sound as well. Next up is a 1968 Bandmaster. If you were in a band, this was a masterful amp. Ha! This is a drip edge, meaning the silver drip here. This is the transition between Blackface and Silverface. These are really coveted amps, and my favorite profile is the VB3. So vibrato channel pushed hard as it gets pushed in the profile. So that's 3. And then you have the tremolo here. I would say the girth units on this amp, it's like a 5.5 girth units. It's kind of like it's a more twin reverb sound than Bassman. It's not as thick and syrupy and chunky and girthy. It's more like thin and clean and bright and sweet. I'm really hungry. So here's the VB3. So even pushed really hard, it's chimey and clean. Let's throw a Morning Glory on that. Bridge pickup. Turn on some tremolo to simulate what it would have been like for you to have this amp in your profile with the tremolo that's in the amp, if that makes sense. Is that confusing? Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay. Spring reverb that it never had, so it's like a bonus.
And now it's time for
meticulously obsessing over small details no one should care about.
Next up is a 1968 Blackface Fender Twin. And I know some of you are looking at this and you're like, that's a reissue. Oh, it's not. The faceplate was put on because this amp was destroyed in a shipping container and we brought it back to life here at JHS. And I forgot about that, saw the faceplate. had a panic moment, thought we profiled a reissue, but we didn't. It's all original, everything except the faceplate. And it doesn't affect the sound. We didn't profile the faceplate. We profiled the amp. With that said, I should demonstrate. My favorite sound on a twin reverb is the normal channel. Turned up, it kind of breaks your soul. It's so loud, but it's not super loud. That starts happening on like 4 or 5. So that is this sound, Blackface Twin Normal 2. Bridge pickup. Let me add some echo, as if I had a tape delay hooked up. And some spring reverb as if this was on. Super big, huge, clean sound. I give it a girth rating of 7.1 units. So it's chimier than the previous two. It's a bigger sound, but it's still kind of the same. These are all big Fender amps. They're all like pepperoni pizzas, but there's a vast difference between like Red Baron and Totino's. All right, on this one, we're gonna go back to when Fender Bassmans weren't black and they weren't silver, they were brown. It was a Brownface 63 model. You'll notice a presence control that's kind of odd for a Bassman. And you'll also notice this is a combo. They never made a 63 combo. This was put into this combo case by Brad Jackson. I've loved it, used it for years. And on the early JHS show, probably the first year or maybe more, this is all I played. So this is like the prerequisite to the Loud is More Good amp. It's just a really loud, more good, clean tone. That's the number 2 profile. Kind of how I would always set it. That would be like volume on 2 or 3 because it's a very loud amp. Add a little bit of verb. Morning Glory on. Bridge pickup. And if you're really wild and crazy, you can do the B-Man 4 mode. And you're gonna notice on those higher gain pushes on these profiles, it really just sounds like a Marshall Plexi. But if you were in the room with it, you would die. You'd physically die, your skin would fall off, and you would become like that scene in Indiana Jones where he hands the Grail and he like melts. Because once this is on 7, you're dead. But because of the profile, you're not dead. Morning Glory. We made it through that. We're not dead. I think I've said that.
What's the girth?
Oh, 9. This is a girthy amp. The girth units are strong on this one, and it may not be surpassed. Let's move on to the next amazing big Fender amp. Next up is an amp that I sold. I never like gelled with it, but I did care about it. I had feelings, but I just couldn't commit. So I sold it. It was a Silverface Bassman that someone turned into a combo, and inside of it, I believe, was one 15-inch speaker, and it distorted really cool and crazy, but it didn't fit in the clean Bassman thing that I go to, so I never really played it. Anyway, it's cool. It's called Dogman. I'm not sure why. I think Dogman's just like, we're all a little bit animal. This amp was an animal too. When you play this pack, you just embrace that wolf inside of you. It's like that dog food commercial. Anybody know? There's like a wolf inside of every dog.
Feed your dog Blue Wilderness because he's wild inside.
Well, there's this amp inside of each of us. My favorite sound is Dogman 4, which is just turned up. That speaker's insanely weird and woofy. Woofy? Dog? Get it? I give this girth unit like 8 something. Let's say 8.1. And it sounds nothing like anything else in the pack. I would say it doesn't fit the pack, but it does fit the pack. Because every pack of dogs has a man. Every pack of wild dogs has this dog. And pretty amazing. I've got some reverb on there. For kicks and giggles and squeaks, let's add an octave. I programmed it into effects 1. Dogman, for those of you who are wild at heart. This next amp is super cool. It's one of the rarest amps that I own. It has a cool story. So this guy named John McIntyre, I believe, was in Canada, and he ran these ads in guitar magazines where you could send your Bassman to him and he would mod the living crap out of it. He called it the Blues Maker mod, and he completely changes the topology of the amp. He leaves things in it that are Fenderish, but he mutates it. So first thing that's crazy is it's no longer 6L6. It's now EL84, so it leans more towards a Vox AC30, and then none of the controls are what they say they are or what they were. He's changed everything. So you'd plug into the bass input, that's now the normal input. Volume is now actually a gain control. Then treble is a balance. This balance is almost a clean dirt mix. You would think about like a clean blend on an overdrive. The bass is now a mid, and you can pull that out and boost the mid. Deep is more or less gain. So you have like a high or a low gain with the deep control. Now the normal channel has been morphed as well. So volume is presence. This is like an air or presence control. You can pull that to shift. Then you have treble is treble, big shocker, and bass is bass. So it's a wildly mutated, crazy fun amp. It's one of my favorite amps that I have for a Vox sound that feels a little bit Fendery, which to me is the best of both worlds. I can't tell you how many times I've ran a Fenderish amp and a Vox amp and blended them, and this essentially is that. So it might be one of the more unique amps you'll ever see or hear, so it's really cool to get it in the profile. So it's called Johnny Mac Blues after John McIntyre. And profile 3 is pushed, so I really like this sound. This is how I would use a Vox, pushing it a little bit of dirt. So you hear the dirt, you hear the Voxy thing, but you hear the chime and glass of like a Fender. I'll go to the neck. Honestly, if the Morning Glory was like an amp, the way that I use it with Bassmans, this is kind of the mix of all those things. Let me turn on some dual delay just to give you a sense of what that feels like with a lot of delay. This has a girth unit rating of 7. There you go. Next up, we're calling the painted Bassman because this grill cloth is black. Shouldn't be black. I'm not sure if it's spray painted or not, but this amp is a bit of a mystery. We had a head engineer here at JHS named Cliff Smith who was elemental in things like the color box, Twin 12, all kinds of effects. But he passed away, and then I inherited several amps that were kind of in his amp repair section and on shelves. And this was one of his personal amps. And I have no idea what's going on inside of it, but it does not sound normal, but it sounds really cool. He was obviously modding it, doing crazy stuff to it. So it is some type of Silverface, probably mid-late 70s box and faceplate, but I have no idea what the specs are. So I'm just gonna walk you through some of the sounds and show you how cool it is. So bridge pickup, this is setting 1, the most clean setting. Neck pickup. That sounds very Princeton-y. It's not massive. That sound itself is like low girth. That's like a 4 or something. If I go up to say amp 3, so that's pushing it, bridge pickup, it starts to get really thick. It sounds like a FET boost or something, hitting a Bassman and overdriving it. I have no idea what's going on. It kind of haunts me. It's a mystery, you know? It's fine. I'm gonna be all right. It's like a tube screamer or a boost is in the amp, but I know it's not, but it could be. None of us will ever know because I'm not gonna open it and see. Let's go to the B2 setting. That would be this jack. B3, and that's the most gain. But watch this, if I take the Kemper and push that gain even more, then hit it with a Morning Glory. Really cool amp. It's a mystery, and now you can join that mystery and not sleep at night wondering what you're playing. Next up is a really cool Super Reverb. So I can't find this amp. I didn't sell it, but I could have sold it, but I didn't sell it. Someone might have borrowed it. It's haunting because we profiled this stuff like 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. It's somewhere. If any of you have seen this amp, call 555-555-555-555 extension 5 and let me know. All right, let's demo. This is Silver Super Vibrato Channel 2. It's my favorite sound in the profile pack. So this is really turned up loud. This type of Super Reverb can be harsh and like kind of bite your head off if you're in the room with it, but it's really cool to hear it profiled in here because that just becomes chimey. Turn on some reverb here. Pretty classic Fender sound. I would say that this profile has a lot of sounds in it that kind of feel like a deluxe reverb, in the sense that because you're not in the room with this incredibly loud and somewhat obnoxious amp to use live, it actually comes across a little more like a deluxe reverb. Let's add some tremolo.
What's the girth?
The girth? It's like a 3.5. Sometimes you don't want girth. Girth can be problematic. Hope you enjoyed these sounds. I think they're super useful for really any genre or style of playing. Obviously, they work in the Kemper, and then there's the new Profiler pedal platform, which is really cool. I enjoyed trying this out and using it. These also work in the Helix and HX Stomp of the Line 6 series, so there's 2 different downloads for that. This whole pack is 39 bucks, and the 63 Fender Bassman, the one I used early in the JHS show, that one's free, so you can go download that right now. There's a link in the description below that has all of this in it. It'll take you over to our site. You can get what you need there. That's really it. Go spread the word. These packs are really great. They're really fun, really usable. I'm pretty partial to it. I love big Fender clean sounds. This is everything you'll ever need if you're like me in that regard. So have a great day, and bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye. You can turn the cameras off. You can turn the cameras off now.
I'll do it. I will.
Turn those cameras off.
Here right now.
Ooh, love it. Bye-bye.
Big man.
Big man.
It's a big man with little hands. It's a big man with some little hands. He's got a big old little bitty hands.
My hands are not that small.
He's got a big heart and little bitty hands.
Normal size.
He's got a heart the size of Texas, and his hands are like San Antonio.
I'm putting in my 2 weeks.
His hands are too little to write out the 2 week form.
I am going to kill you.